2 Esdras, chapter 13. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his face to look, all the things trembled that were seen unto him. And whenever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth fails when it feels the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men, out of number, from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he carved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. But I tried to see the region or place whereof the hill was carved, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were very afraid, and yet still were prepared to fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks, and tempests, and wind. They were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great wind, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, all of them, every one. So that all of the sudden, of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Afterward saw I the same man come down from the mountain, and call to him another peaceable multitude. And there came many people to him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound. And some others brought them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear. And I awoke, and said, You have shown your servant these wonders from the beginning, and have counted me worthy that you should receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in my understanding, woe shall be to them left in those days, and much more woe to them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now I understand the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen to them and to those that are left behind. Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in these last days. And he answered to me and said, The interpretation of the vision shall I show you, and I will open to you the thing that you have required. Whereas you have spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time has kept himself. They that have fallen into danger are such as have works and faith toward the Almighty. Know this, therefore, that they which are left behind are more blessed than they that die. This is the meaning of the vision, whereas you saw a man coming up from the midst of the sea. The same is he whom God the highest has kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. And whereas you saw that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him, this is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed you before. And then shall my Son be declared, whom you saw as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as you saw them, willing to come, and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Sion. And Sion shall come, and shall be shown to all men, being prepared and built, like as you saw the hill cut without hands. And this, my Son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the storm, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like a flame. And he shall destroy them without labor, by the law, which is like me. And whereas you saw that he gathered another peaceable multitude to him, those are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so they came into another land. But they took his counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. The highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore you saw the multitude with peace. But those that are left behind of your people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. And then shall he show them great wonders. Then said I, O Lord that bears rule, show me this. Why have I seen the man coming up from the midst of the sea? And he said to me, just as you can neither seek out nor know the things that are in the deep of the sea, even so can no man upon earth see my Son, or those that be with him, but in the daytime. This is the interpretation of the dream which you saw, and whereby you only are here enlightened. For you have forsaken your own way, and applied your diligence to my law, and sought it. Your life have you ordered in wisdom, and have called understanding your mother. And therefore have I shown you the treasures of the highest. After another 3 days I will speak other things to you, and declare to you mighty and wondrous things. Then I went forth into the field, giving praise and thanks greatly to the Most High, because of his wonders which he did in time, because he governs the same, and such things as fall in their seasons. There I sat 3 days,